The marriage didn't end when she left. It ended the night. He said he dreaded coming home. Nobody warns you about the most dangerous season in a marriage. Not the wedding year, not the 7-year itch, not even when someone starts sleeping on the edge of the bed. It's the first few months after a baby is born, when two people who chose each other suddenly become strangers, keeping score in the same house. And the scariest part? They both think they're just tired. Before Emma was born, Rachel and Marcus were the couple people pointed to. Not because they were loud about their love, not because they posted perfect anniversary captions or performed happiness for other people. They were steady, real, the kind of couple with inside jokes nobody else understood. Sunday mornings that felt worth protecting. Late-night drives with no destination. Small rituals that made the relationship feel safe. They weren't perfect. No couple is. But they had something most couples slowly lose without noticing. When life got hard, they still turned toward each other. Then Emma arrived. For the first 2 weeks, everything felt sacred. Exhausting, but sacred. Marcus photographed Rachel holding the baby near the window, her face pale, her hair messy, her eyes full of something deeper than happiness. Rachel cried because she had never loved anything so much and never felt so afraid at the same time. Everyone said, "Enjoy every second." Nobody said, "Love doesn't protect you from resentment." By the second month, the house had changed. The bedroom became a place where nobody really slept. The kitchen smelled like cold coffee and quiet accusations. The living room had burp cloths on every chair, baby socks under the couch, and attention neither of them had a word for. Rachel wasn't just tired, she was disappearing. Her body didn't feel like hers. Her mind never fully rested. Even when Emma slept, Rachel's nervous system stayed awake, listening, cataloging, translating every sound. Hungry, wet, overtired, gas, lonely. Marcus heard crying. Rachel heard assignments. And that difference became the beginning of the distance. Marcus thought he was helping. He worked, came home, asked what needed to be done, changed diapers when Rachel asked, held the baby when she looked overwhelmed. But Rachel hated that she had to ask. That's one of the hidden poisons of new parenthood. One person becomes the manager of the entire house, and the other person thinks they are being supportive because they follow instructions. But love doesn't feel like love when you have to manage it. One night, around 2:40 a.m., Emma cried again. Rachel waited. 10 seconds, 30, a full minute. Marcus didn't move. He was sleeping beside her, mouth slightly open, completely gone from the world. Rachel stared at him in the dark, and something inside her hardened. It wasn't hatred. It was lonelier than hatred. It was the realization that someone can be lying right next to you and still feel 1,000 miles away. She got up, fed the baby, changed her, rocked her, and sat in the nursery until dawn with tears running silently down her face. Marcus woke at 7 and said, "Why didn't you wake me?" That sentence almost broke her, because to him, it sounded reasonable. To her, it sounded like proof that he didn't feel the same urgency. Proof that if she didn't collapse loudly enough, nobody would notice she was falling apart. Proof that motherhood had made her invisible inside her own marriage. And this is where many couples begin to die. Not because someone cheats, not because someone stops loving, but because one person feels abandoned and the other feels constantly accused. Marcus wasn't heartless. He was confused. Every time he tried to help, Rachel seemed irritated. Every time he asked a question, she looked disappointed. Every time he touched her shoulder, her body stiffened like even affection had become another demand. So, he pulled back. That's what a lot of men do when they feel like they're failing at home. They don't always fight. They go quiet. They stay later at work. They sit in the driveway 10 minutes before walking inside. Not because they don't care, because home has become a place where they feel useless. But withdrawal doesn't look like pain to a woman already drowning alone. It looks like betrayal. By the 3rd month, Rachel and Marcus weren't really talking anymore. They were exchanging information. "Did you order diapers?" "She has a doctor's appointment Thursday." "Your mom called?" "There's laundry in the dryer." Marriage had become logistics with a shared mortgage. Responsibility without tenderness, which is just another word for prison. One Saturday morning, Marcus came downstairs and found Rachel at the sink. Emma fussed in the swing, dishes covered every surface. Rachel had one hand on a bottle, one eye on the baby, and a face that looked like she had been awake for years. Marcus rubbed his face and said, "I'm exhausted." He didn't mean it as an attack, but Rachel laughed, not because it was funny, because something inside her snapped. "You slept 6 hours last night," he said. "I still have work. I still have pressure." And there it was, the sentence that turns two tired people into enemies. Rachel heard, "My exhaustion matters more." Marcus heard, "Nothing I do counts." People don't respond to the words you say. They respond to the wound your words touch. After that, they started keeping score. Rachel counted every night feeding, every skipped shower, every meal eaten standing over the sink, every appointment she scheduled, every time she held the baby while needing someone to hold her. Marcus counted every bill paid, every hour worked, every repair handled, every time he walked into the house and felt tension before he had even taken off his shoes. And here's the uncomfortable part. Both of them were right. Rachel carried an invisible load nobody applauded. Marcus carried pressure he didn't know how to name. But instead of turning toward each other, they became prosecutors, building cases, collecting evidence, waiting for the other person to finally say, "You have it harder." Nobody wins that courtroom, because the moment love becomes a competition of suffering, intimacy starts packing its bags. The real break happened on an ordinary Tuesday. Marcus came home 20 minutes late, just 20, holding takeout. Rachel didn't say hello. He set the bag on the counter and said, "I thought this might help." She looked at it and said, "You think dinner fixes this?" He froze, and then he didn't argue. He just nodded slowly, set his keys down, and said nothing. That silence cost them more than any fight ever had. Because Rachel saw it, that small retreat behind his eyes, the light leaving, the man she knew disappearing behind a wall, and for half a second she felt satisfied. Because resentment is strange like that. It wants connection, but it also wants proof the other person is guilty. Marcus finally looked guilty, so she let him disappear. That night, after Emma fell asleep, Marcus sat on the edge of the bed. "I don't know how to be around you anymore." Rachel stared at him. He continued, "Everything I do is wrong. If I ask, I'm useless. If I don't ask, I'm selfish. If I'm quiet, I'm abandoning you." Rachel's face tightened. "So now you're the victim." "No," he said quietly. "I'm saying I dread coming home." Silence. There are sentences that don't sound loud, but change the temperature of a room forever. Rachel whispered, "I've been alone for months." Marcus said, "So have I." That was the tragedy. Both of them were telling the truth. They were both drowning in the same house. But instead of reaching for each other, they were measuring who had swallowed more water. For the next few weeks, they performed normal life. Pediatrician visits, family photos, smiling at friends, saying, "We're just tired," whenever someone asked how they were doing. But behind closed doors, the marriage was becoming silent. And silence is not peace. Sometimes silence is just the sound of two people giving up at the same time. Rachel stopped telling Marcus what she needed because she believed he should already know. Marcus stopped asking because every answer made him feel smaller. She wanted him to see her pain without being told. He wanted her to see his effort without dismissing it. Neither of them was asking for something evil. They were both asking to be recognized. That's the hunger that destroys so many relationships after a baby arrives. Not sex, not money, not chores. Recognition. Someone needs to say, "I see what this is costing you." Because when people don't feel seen, they don't just become sad. They become dangerous. They begin rewriting the relationship in their head. They turn their partner into the villain because pain needs somewhere to go. Rachel started telling herself Marcus was selfish. Marcus started telling himself Rachel was impossible. And once you reduce someone to a label, you stop being curious about their pain. 6 months after Emma was born, Rachel packed a bag and drove to her sister's. She told Marcus she needed space. He didn't stop her. That hurt more than any argument. She wanted him to panic, to say, "Please don't go. I'll change. I finally understand." But Marcus was exhausted too. He just stood there holding Emma, nodding like a man who no longer knew what move was safe. Rachel drove away crying. Marcus closed the door, sat on the couch, and cried too. Not dramatic crying, not movie crying, the quiet kind. The kind men do when nobody is around to witness it. That weekend, Rachel's sister asked her one question. Do you want to leave him, or do you want him to understand? Rachel didn't answer right away, because the truth scared her. She didn't want a divorce. She wanted a witness. She wanted a witness. Someone to understand that becoming a mother had cracked her open, that she missed her own body, her own mind. The softness she used to have before survival became her personality. That when Marcus slept through the crying, it didn't feel like sleep. It felt like abandonment. But Marcus had his own truth. He wanted Rachel to understand that he had felt like a stranger in his own family. That the baby got her love, the house got her energy, and he got whatever was left, usually frustration. He didn't need applause. He needed to stop feeling like the enemy. When Rachel came home Sunday night, the house was clean. Not perfect, clean enough. Emma was sleeping. Marcus sat at the kitchen table with 2 cups of tea. Neither of them spoke at first. Then Marcus said, "I don't want us to become people who only talk about what the other one failed to do." Rachel sat down slowly, and for the first time in months, she didn't attack. She listened. That conversation didn't fix them overnight. They still had hard nights. Old resentment still surfaced. There were still moments when Rachel felt invisible, and Marcus felt blamed before he even spoke. But something shifted. They stopped asking, "Who has it worse?" They started asking, "What are we not saying out loud?" That question saved them more than romance ever could. Because romance is easy when life is soft. Partnership is revealed when life becomes unfair, exhausting, repetitive, and emotionally ugly. They made small agreements, not grand promises, small ones. Marcus took 1 full night shift on weekends. No questions asked. Rachel stopped waiting for him to read her mind and started naming what she needed before resentment turned it into punishment. Marcus stopped waiting to be asked for the obvious things. Rachel stopped treating every mistake as evidence he didn't care. Slowly, the house became less cold, not perfect, but warmer. And maybe that's all some marriages need at first, not fireworks. Warmth. The truth is, babies don't destroy marriages. They expose the parts that were surviving on comfort, routine, and unspoken assumptions. A child doesn't create selfishness, it reveals it. A child doesn't create emotional distance, it magnifies it. A child doesn't create resentment. It gives resentment nowhere left to hide. And if nobody names that grief, it turns into blame. That's how families break quietly, not in one explosive moment, but in hundreds of small ones, where someone needed tenderness and received defensiveness, where someone needed help and received advice, where someone needed recognition and received silence. Rachel and Marcus almost lost each other because both were waiting for the other to admit their pain mattered first. And that's the trap. The person who demands to be seen first often becomes blind to the person standing right in front of them. So maybe the question isn't, why do couples change after having kids? Maybe the better question is this: when life becomes heavy, do you still see your partner as someone carrying pain too? Or only as the reason for yours? Tell me in the comments. What do you think breaks couples faster after a baby arrives? The exhaustion, the resentment, or the feeling that nobody truly sees you?